Interview a comedian? What's this?
First of all, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
What?
Oh, it was terrible, of course. I mean, we kind of get our news kind of also secondhand because, you know, my wife's family, they live in Gaza. They have cousins and uncles there. Their house also was bombed. We haven't been
Well, that
able
sounds bad. That sucks.
to communicate with them for the past 3 days. Communication are lost. So we don't know actually what is the how they're doing, but you know, we're used to that. I mean, it's just like it's very repetitive. We're used to that. We're used to them being bombed every time and moving from one place to the other.
Jesus.
You know, it's just like those Palestinians. They're very dramatic. Israel killing us. But they never die. I mean, they always come back. You know, they're very difficult to kill. Very difficult people to kill. I know because I'm married to them.
What?
I tried many times. Couldn't kill them.
I mean, there's a dark humor there, and I understand why. Because
no, it's not dark humor. I try to get to her every time, but she uses our kids as human shields. I can never take her out.
Oh my god. At least he's honest about it. It was awesome. It was so good. Holy fuck, that was good. Wow. Interview a comedian? What's this?
First of all, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
What?
Oh, it was terrible, of course. I mean, we kind of get our news kind of also secondhand because, you know, my wife's family, they live in Gaza. They have cousins and uncles there. Their house also was bombed. We haven't been
Well, that
able
sounds bad. That sucks.
to communicate with them for the past 3 days. Communication are lost. So we don't know actually what is the how they're doing, but you know, we're used to that. I mean, it's just like it's very repetitive. We're used to that. We're used to them being bombed every time and moving from one place to the other.
Jesus.
You know, it's just like those Palestinians. They're very dramatic. Israel killing us. But they never die. I mean, they always come back. You know, they're very difficult to kill. Very difficult people to kill. I know because I'm married to them.
What?
I tried many times. Couldn't kill her.
I mean, there's a dark humor there, and I understand why. Because
no, it's not dark humor. I try to get to her every time, but she uses our kids as human shields. I can never take her out.
Attention, all carrier crew. Friendship drive engaged.
Oh my god. At least he's honest about it. It was awesome. It was so good. Holy fuck, that was good. Wow.
Down to jump. 5, 4, 3, 2,
AG1 is so much more than a group. Green Spider. In one single scoop, it delivers daily multivitamin.
then the question then becomes again about proportion. I don't disagree that there's been a lot of bad stuff on both sides going back historically for decades. But if we agree that this was on a different level altogether, quite deliberately by Hamas, designed,
absolutely.
designed
You know
to
what?
provoke. No, here's my question. Let me ask you a question. And the question,
What's
because
the question?
you raised it earlier about proportion. I honestly don't know what the proportionate response is. I honestly don't. I don't. I've been watching the airstrikes
So
this week thinking.
So what's your question?
Well, I would ask you, if you were Israel, what would you?
If I was Israel.
If you were Israel and that had happened to you, what would you think would be the appropriate way for the country to respond?
I would do exactly like Israel did, kill as many people as possible, since the world is letting me do it. I mean, I can do it because I can, you know. But the thing is, you know what? I agree with you. And you know what? I'm going to be even ahead of you, because I see the question coming. Do you condemn Hamas for that? Yes, I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas is the source of all evil. They are the reason for everything. And you know what? Let's, for a minute, imagine a world without Hamas.
Right.
What will this world look like? Let's give this word a name, and let's name this word the West Bank. Hamas has absolutely no control in the West Bank, and since the beginning of this year, only through August, 37 Palestinian kids were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Since the occupation of the West Bank, 7,000 Palestinians were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. I can go on and on and on and on.
No, but you don't need to, because in a way you're preaching to the choir. I've followed this crisis.
Oh no, you're not preaching. So the thing is, like,
in the sense that I know that what you're saying has validity. Of course.
Piers. By the way, Piers. I am at a disadvantage here. I can hear you. I cannot see you. I am in a claustrophobic room, and so please cut me some slack and don't interrupt me and interrupt my point.
Sure.
So, because this has to be fair.
Understand.
Because if you want to only hear your opinion, I can just condemn Hamas and go home. I can do that. So, do you want to do that, or do you have a much more nuanced conversation?
No, I absolutely want to have a nuanced conversation. I wasn't aware I was interrupting you. I thought I was letting you speak.
Amazing. So let's. I mean, I would say I really applaud Israel for doing one thing that no military force in the world does. Because I heard Ben Shapiro and I heard Ron DeSantis, and they said Israel is the only military force in the world that warns civilians before bombing them. I mean, how fucking cute. That is so nice of them. Because with this logic, if Russian troops started warning Ukrainians before bombing their houses, we're cool with Putin, right? I mean, okay, Habibi, you have warned them, go invade, it's fine, you have done your job. I mean, the thing is, and I understand, and I also heard Ben Shapiro talking about human shield. So you remember my wife's family, they live in Gaza. So I asked them, I told them, when Israel give you the nice warning, the cute warning, does Hamas force you to stay in your home so you can be bombed and use you know what Hassan, my wife's cousin, he's a loser, you know. He told me, you know, when I asked him, does that happen? He told me, no. The lying son of a bitch lied to me. I told him, you don't understand. Ben Shapiro and Ron DeSantis keep saying that Israel wants you and Hamas asked you to stay put. So I told him he's a loser. He never kept the job. He even like failed in all of the interviews to become like a human shield. I would. Sorry.
Let me ask you this, Bassam.
So let's go with that. No. Let me ask you.
At some point, I must be able to ask you questions. It's not a monologue for you, Bassam.
If we agree that for the 14,000 casualties, I mean, who's counting? Our human shield. Does that mean that every single one of those civilians who stand obscuring a military target behind them? Because that's a lot of weapons. I mean, Hamas is backing.
No, of course it doesn't. And look,
so there's some collateral damage. Lots of collateral damage.
Yes.
It's fine, yeah. You kill some to save some, and then kill some more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Again, it comes back to proportionate response. When the world decided it had to get rid of ISIS because of the appalling butchery they were carrying out, it did so by also killing, very sadly, a lot of civilians along the way by doing airstrikes against places which.
But killing civilians are inevitable. You said that in the beginning.
My point is,
it's inevitable.
Yeah, but once Israel has decided that they want to get rid of Hamas, and Hamas is embedded with civilian population, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen next. I've written a column tonight saying, I remember the Iraq war, which I opposed, right? I remember all this. So my question for you is, what would you think would be an appropriate response by Israel to what happened?
Well, these are years of disproportionate responses of Israel.
Right.
Did it solve the solution? Did it solve the problem? Did it work before, so it will work? What would be the surprise this time? What will be the twist that will make this war different? What? What will be different this time?
We see you out there, Commander. Let us know if you'd like to dock. Access granted. Please follow standard docking protocols, Commander.
Landing gear deployed. Hull integrity compromised.
Contact confirmed. Clamps engaged. What can we do for you, Commander?
This game, you're not ready for it.
Well, now the Battle of the Hearts and Minds, traditionally played out through diplomacy and propaganda, is being played out online. My next guest has almost 500 million views for his provocative commentary online, making him hugely influential. Hassan Piker streams live under the name Hassan Abi. His analysis of the Israel-Hamas war has taken a highly critical stance towards Israel and Western media, and he's been calling me out for my coverage.
Because he only cares about Israeli citizens. He does not care about Palestinians as human beings. That's why it's apples to oranges. It's like one side is a human, the other side is a barbaric monster child.
I never said that, obviously. He says that he'd like nothing more than to come on to Uncensored and call me a baboon in a suit to my face. Well, here I am, a baboon, and he can join me now. I'm joined by Hassan. Hassan, thank you very much indeed for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Piers. It's very early here in Los Angeles, California, but I'm gonna try to do my very best to not do my British accent while I'm here.
Well, I appreciate that. And listen, I appreciate you coming on. Explain to me why you consider me a stenographer for the Israeli government, given that in the last week, I think more than any other host in the world, I have given lengthy platforms to pro-Palestinian voices to articulate that side of the argument.
No, I do have to commend you. You certainly have had more pro-Palestinian voices than the rest of the British media and certainly the rest of Western media in general. Now, as far as saying that you're a stenographer, I said that journalists are not supposed to be stenographers, and yet when it comes down to it, in most circumstances, in whatever conflict we may be in, there are stenographers for whichever party is aligning with the American State Department and the interests of the West. And Israel happens to be the one in this ongoing conflict.
But it's interesting that you call me a propagandist, because I want to play you. This was your reaction to when the hospital got bombed.
I'm a propagandist.
Well, no,
For the record.
No, I'm not calling
I'm a propagandist.
I'm just saying. I'm going to play you.
I'm saying I am.
Okay, well then,
I'm saying I am.
I just want to put it.
Play it.
Okay, I'm going to play the clip. This is your reaction to the bombing of the hospital the other night.
While I was in the process of getting ready for the stream, Israel enacted one of the singular worst strikes they have done thus far, and an airstrike, an Israeli airstrike, hit the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza City, where thousands of civilians were seeking medical treatment and shelter from the relentless bombing campaign.
Now, interestingly, when you were saying that, I was coming on air too, and I took a position based probably on 30 years of being a journalist, running major newspapers, working at CNN and others, of waiting, of just saying, I think we should just wait and see what has actually happened here, get clarification, see who's actually to blame before we start passing judgment. You raced in to assume, as many people did, by the way, including the New York Times, BBC, mainstream media, and of course most of the Arab world then followed, that this was clearly, indisputably, an Israeli airstrike on this hospital. And yet all the evidence now suggests very strongly that it wasn't, that in fact this was a rocket that misfired coming from a terrorist group inside Gaza. So my question for you is this: why would you
I wouldn't go that far.
Why would you be so certain in what you said before you knew?
Frameshift drive charging.
Okay, so first and foremost, before we get started on this conversation, let's understand something very important here. There's no electricity in Gaza. Internet is patchy in Gaza. There's no food in Gaza. There's no water in Gaza. This is all by design. Gaza is under a brutal blockade, a brutal occupation by the Israeli government. Okay? So that plays a role in the fog of war and the misinformation that gets spread. Having said that, however, you made it seem as though there is a certainty that this was 100% not an Israeli airstrike.
No, I didn't.
And instead,
I literally just said it's not a certainty.
Okay, sorry.
I said the evidence is increasingly pointing to this not being an Israeli airstrike, and that is expert evidence for people who have no skin in the game at all.
Yes. Well, I don't know which expert you're talking about, because I think Channel 4 did a pretty good job. As a matter of fact, I would say Channel 4 did probably the best job so far in analyzing everything that the IDF has said. But the reason why I believe, and I still do believe, that the likelihood is that this was an Israeli bombing campaign wasn't only because of the singular verifiable video, the phone video from the balcony that had all of the markings of an airstrike, the fact that the Israeli Air Force was enacting a bombing campaign in the region at the time, according to the Al Jazeera live streaming footage that everyone is using but doesn't understand, the fact that the digital media person for the IDF immediately came out and said that this was actually an airstrike that hit a Hamas target, and that he was sad that there were, casualties at the end of the day, but this was a Hamas target and celebrated it. And more importantly, I guess, the fact that this hospital had been bombed by Israel. This hospital had been bombed by Israel on Saturday. 22 hospitals have, as a matter of fact, been bombed by Israel since this last saga in the occupation. And this hospital had been bombed directly by Israel, where the cancer ward was destroyed. Israel has been bombing all of these hospitals. Israel has been calling all of these hospitals to evacuate over and over and over again. The medical professionals at the hospital had been called by the Israeli government the day prior, and everyone on the ground assumes that this is an Israeli airstrike. They are the ones who experienced the situation.
Hassan,
so when you have
but the
every
truth
single,
is,
can I just finish this?
if you watch the
Can I just finish this?
BBC, if you watch the BBC account of all this last night, by their Verify unit, which was specifically set up by the BBC to be completely dispassionate in these investigations, and they reached a pretty clear conclusion based on circumstantial evidence, I'll make that clear, that this would not have been an Israeli airstrike, including, for example, the size of the crater, which bears no relation to the size of craters normally done by Israeli. So, look, my point is, neither of us know for sure. But you took to your airwaves immediately because actually your, I wouldn't even say unconscious bias, your admitted propagandist bias on your part was that you wanted that to be an Israeli airstrike. It suited your narrative. And I would say that that in itself, in its way,
wanted it to be
is being a stenographer. Well, you know, you accuse me of being a stenographer. I try and be fair and get to the truth. In your case, I don't think you try to do that. I think you appeal to your audience, appeal to your base, and you don't really care whether the facts are there or not.
This is entirely unfair because you just said circumstantial evidence favors that this was not an Israeli airstrike.
Yeah.
I gave you all of the circumstantial evidence that it does favor that this is an Israeli airstrike. The reason why, however, circumstantial evidence is not enough. And the one thing that I will concede to, because when more information did come out, and no, I do not mean when Israel said that they did not bomb this hospital and it was actually Hamas, and then they turned around and went, never mind, it's not Hamas, it's actually Islamic Jihad. And then they said, we have more evidence coming out in a couple hours. And then the evidence came out, and it turns out it sounded like the phone conversations that they were able to intercept, supposedly, sounded like, by experts at the very least, to be completely false and completely made up.
Yeah, but Hassan, I don't think, listen, in all honesty, I don't think, even as you're saying all this, I think you're a smart guy.
Piers, let me finish.
I think you've looked at all of this, and I think in your heart, you know this was probably not an Israeli airstrike. And I'm just curious why you would, instead of admitting that as facts change,
that is
your
not
opinion
what I'm
changed.
saying. That is not what I'm saying at all.
I don't understand why you would double and treble down when the evidence is pointing the other way.
You're asking me to be on your show. Do you want to talk?
Yes.
If you're asking me to be on your show, and I want to be on the show, thank you so much for having me on your show. Let me explain exactly what I said, and let me explain to you why I think still, to this very moment, until there is a third-party investigation that is concluded by the UN, the International Criminal Court, or specifically a forensic analyst that looks at the situation, is allowed to be on the ground. This is not just my perspective. This is B'Tselem as well, which is an Israeli organization that has also demanded a third-party investigation occur. I am not going to conclusively say that this was not Israel's fault.
I don't expect you to.
Because I just gave you, and not because I'm a propagandist. As far as me being a propagandist goes, everyone is a propagandist. I'm just honest about it. You're a propagandist. We have our biases.
Curious who you think I'm a propagandist for.
Honest about my biases.
Who do you think I'm a propagandist for?
Who do I think you're a propagandist for? Whichever every media person is doing propaganda.
Yeah, but who for? I'm going to be doing it with something.
And you think it's a bad word, I don't. That's just the difference. This is a semantics
I think it's actually quite a serious charge.
Hassan,
I think it's a serious charge to level, not as a podcaster, but as a journalist who's broadcasting around the world, who has a reputation, I believe, for being fair and impartial, actually, on these issues. It's quite a charge to just say, I'm a stenographer of the Israeli government, or I'm a propagandist. I don't think there's any evidence that I'm either of those things. I'm curious who you think I'm doing
While
the
we're having this
propaganda
conversation, 3,000, Piers, while we're having this back and forth, 3,840 Palestinians have been ruthlessly slaughtered in the last incursion into Gaza. I feel like this is an incredibly selfish, self-centered conversation to have. You asked me to be on here. You wanted to hear my perspective. I'm willing to give it to you. I don't want to talk about I don't want to talk about Noam Chomsky style manufacturing consent conversations about how the media is operating in the behest of capital.
You were the guy. Listen, you were the guy that told me
there are dead people.
Listen, Hassan, I only asked you because because you're the guy that called me a propagandist and called me a baboon in a suit. I was curious as to why. You don't want to say who I'm doing the propaganda for. We'll move on. I agree with you. There's a bigger picture here. Let's move on. Let's take a short break. Hassan, let's take a short break. I want to come back. I want to talk to you about what happened on October the 7th, get your reaction to that. Welcome back. Hassan Piker is still with me. Hassan, I want to just play you a clip of something that you said about the October 7th terror attacks, and in particular, the attack at the music festival, which killed 260 people.
Look at this guy. You know what shouldn't happen? Killing 260 people at a music festival. No, you're right, man. That just happened on its own because, like, bad guys wanted to do bad things. You're right. Dude, if they subjugated you to a open-air prison your whole life, you're going to break out eventually when you realize that there's no other way to get out of it.
I mean, it sounds to me there, Hassan, that you are in some way saying they had it coming. Were you?
No, I wouldn't say that they had it coming. I think that Michael Brooks used to say, analysis is not justification. And while obviously civilian casualties and horrific barbaric acts that were committed on October 7 are completely unacceptable, the important thing to make sure that it never happens again is to analyze what are the conditions as to how it happened to begin with. And I think Ehud Barak is going to be on in a little bit as well, or maybe he's on before me. Yeah. And I'm almost certain that while he has held the keys to the conversation and held the levers of the power in this conversation in many key and critical points, I would go so far as to say that he is among many others who also recognize that the Bibi Netanyahu administration is responsible. This is not just my assessment. This is 85% of the Israeli population's assessment at the time. This is years and years and years of refusing to negotiate with the Palestinian Authority. Don't take my word for it. Take Bibi Netanyahu's personal word for it. In 2019, in a closed-door conversation with Likud members, he said that if you want to thwart any kind of Palestinian nation state, you must do everything you can to only negotiate with Hamas. We control how high the fire goes. He has given cash to Hamas by way of Qatar. There is no bigger fan of Hamas than Bibi Netanyahu, which I hope one day you can maybe interview, and then you'll ask him to.
No, I actually did interview him a few months ago, and I did actually spell out to him that there have been a lot more Palestinian deaths this year so far, up to the point of the interview, than Israelis, and what he intended to do about it. He said then he didn't believe in collective responsibility, which is now this hot phrase in this whole crisis about whether you would hold all people in Gaza responsible for Hamas. Interesting to see if when they...
Can I ask you a question?
Let me just finish my point. If they do then launch a ground invasion, it'd be interesting to see if they keep to that word. You know, I'm not a defender of what Bibi Netanyahu has been doing in Israel. In the last year, his attack on the credibility and integrity of the Supreme Court, I think, has been a disgrace. And I think it has fractured society in Israel. I also think that it's caused so much social unrest and had such big protests that you could argue it's taken the eye off the ball of the people who should have been defending the border because they've been trying to sort out what's been going on domestically, internally inside Israel. So I think it's a catastrophic failure of intelligence, of security, of defense, all of those things. I'd be amazed, frankly, if Netanyahu survives this. So I'm certainly not here to defend him, even if you do view me as a stenographer for his government. My question for you, I think, is this, is that I've had a lot of problems trying to get people on the pro-Palestinian side to separate two things. That you can say, as I believe and you believe, that the Palestinians have been maltreated for decades. That the situation where they are effectively, I mean, I don't even call it an occupation because Israelis aren't in Gaza. They pulled out in 2005, but they still control the ability of Gaza.
This is why I call you a propagandist.
I'm just saying the phraseology is confusing to me because the reality is Israel exercises control over people in Gaza. It allows them in and out. It allows them to turn on the tap of water and so on and so on. I get all that. They don't actually live there because they can't live side by side with each other.
That's why it's called an open-air prison.
Right. I don't disagree with you.
That's why they call it the world's largest open-air prison.
Yeah, but Hassan, I don't disagree with you. And I've pointed this out for a long time as a journalist. So we don't disagree about the appalling plight of Palestinian people. But the issue comes that if you can't separate that ongoing dispute between Israel and Palestine from the absolutely appalling barbarism of October the 7th, which was on a whole different scale to anything we've seen, where 1,400 people, Holocaust survivors, babies in their cribs, young women taken, tortured, abused, shot, beheaded, it was reported, and so on. If we can't look at that collectively, with a general humanity and agreement that is an absolute atrocity, then there's something wrong with this. And I find that the tribalism on both sides is now so toxic and so frenzied that you get people who literally can't. We've had a bunch of actors, right, signing this statement saying they want a ceasefire in Gaza and calling Israel war criminals and so on. But they don't say a word about the Hamas attacks that precipitated this. And I find that really hard, really hard to accept.
But do you agree with them? If they had said, for example, that October 7 attacks were brutal and massacres occurred, and then they said everything else, that Israel is committing war crimes, would you agree with them?
Okay, here's what I would honestly say about that. Is Israel not allowed to defend itself from the worst terror attack we've seen since 9/11? Is it not allowed to defend itself after 1,400 people in Israel are butchered in that way? And the question then, if you assume that they are able to defend themselves, as any free democratic country,
that is the Israeli State Department line, that is the IDF's line, that is the line that everyone
let me ask you this. It then becomes a question of how can they defend themselves? If their mission now is to get rid of Hamas, a terror organization that's committed one of the worst acts of terror ever seen, if that is their stated aim, then what they are doing is consistent with that, isn't it?
No. Here's why this is actually an abject failure, and this is not just my perspective on the matter. I'm just a dumb idiot with a Twitch stream who is live reacting to the news and trying to make sense of everything as it's ongoing. I usually have a policy of not covering breaking news, and sometimes that policy is violated, but ultimately I am not held up by the same journalistic standards, even though I think I do a much better job than most other news outlets in general. So let me just say this really quickly. You said Israel has a right to defend itself. Absolutely zero people think that this is a ridiculous statement. However, how Israel is defending itself is collective punishment. Now, collective punishment in the form of depriving 2.2 million people of electricity, collective punishment in the form of depriving them of water, of food, collective punishment of in the form of 51 people dying in the West Bank, where, there is no Hamas in the West Bank, and yet 51 people have died because in the West Bank, settlers that are occupying Palestinian territory in violation of the international law, settlers who are doing an act of colonial terrorism, and this is not my statement on it, this is international law, that are doing horrifying things by simply just existing there and maintaining the presence with an occupying force in the form of IDF, who was ritualistically humiliating Palestinians in a structure that B'Tselem, an Israeli organization, calls the permit regime, where every waking moment of Palestinians' lives in the West Bank are absolutely held, where they have no legal recourse. 51 Palestinians have died, and that was before the Ramallah, the Ramallah protest that happened last night, and the Israeli forces were opening up with live fire on protesters last night. So who knows what that death toll has become? This is all a product of Israel being an apartheid state. This is a violent apartheid state. There is no way to be a peaceful apartheid state. It is a violence. It is a violence required for its maintenance.
Okay, listen.
And that violence is frustrating people.
I hear you.
That violence is radicalizing people.
But here's
Hold on. As far as Israel, as far as what Benjamin Netanyahu has done, as far as the war government, what they have done, Pierce, going into Gaza and bombing Gaza and killing 3,480 Palestinians so far in Gaza, 1,000 plus children out of all of those casualties, 22 hospitals being bombed, a bakery, the only remaining intact bakery, being bombed yesterday. These are horrifying crimes that you would openly say are horrifying and unjustifiable when Russia does it, but when Israel does it, Israel has a right to defend itself. This is identical to the same talking points that I've heard from every Israeli administration official. It's the same talking points that I've heard from American politicians championing the exact same talking points. It's the same thing that I've heard from everyone else in the media. You might have been against the Iraq war, and you use that, but you're using that for evil, in my opinion, at this point. If you are not sitting here and condemning those acts of war crimes, those acts of violence, those acts of collective punishment.
Well, I would say to that I think the death of is horrific, absolutely horrific. But the question comes down to me that after an act of terror, as we saw on October the 7th, Israel should be able to defend itself and should be able to go after the people who perpetrated that, who live among civilians in Gaza deliberately. And the question for me becomes down to what is proportionate. I don't know the answer, sir. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what that answer is.
I do know the answer to that. I do know the answer to that. Last night I had Dr. Ofer Kassif, an Israeli Knesset member who was expelled, suspended for 45 days for saying what I believe is the truth. Championing the exact same position of the Haaretz's editorial board. There are a lot of thoughtful people, a lot of formative Holocaust scholars, a lot of historians that all agree on the same point. The reason why violence that even penetrates through the Israeli security blanket that people thought existed, that penetrated through that Iron Dome, the Iron Wall, if you want to call it that, is because of years and years of oppression and years of violence, which is a necessity to maintain an apartheid state. And this has to stop. There's only two ways out of this. Either you engage in full-blown ethnic cleansing, and if you listen to the likes of Smotrich, or if you listen to the likes of Itamar Ben-Gvir and these very unfavorable, unpopular, far-right figures, if you listen to Netanyahu and his Likud government, they say that they are interested in going in that direction, the ethnic cleansing direction, the ethnic displacement direction, or the only way out of this for a real solution is to move towards peace, to genuinely end the blockade, to end the apartheid, to end the occupation, and create a pathway towards citizenship for all people with a right to return, for all 14 million Palestinians, 5 million of which live under Israeli occupation. It's brutal. And then the rest living in diaspora. These are not unreasonable requests. These are requests that understand the dignity and the humanity of one side and does not simply treat them as their colonial subjects.
Hassan,
and it's the only way to create permanent security and prosperity in the region.
If it was as simple as that, I'm sure that would have happened already. I would say this. I agree with a lot of what you've just said. Not all of it, a lot of it. I don't think you can ever achieve peace now with Hamas controlling Gaza. I don't think you can achieve peace with Netanyahu in charge of Israel, actually, after this. I don't think his own people want him to be in charge of Israel down the line when they examine exactly how this happened. But we will see. But Hassan, I've got to leave it there. Look, it's good to talk to you. You know, you're an important, influential voice to a lot of people. And I think we have a lot of common ground, and there are some things that we disagree about. But I suspect it's not as much as you think. You know, I do think that the core problem here has got to get resolved in a way that's been completely ignored for decades. And until it gets resolved, the fight for Palestinian people is resolved, until all these young people in Palestine feel there's some sense of hope and they can get out of what effectively is, as you say, a prison camp, then nothing is going to change. I don't think it justifies in any... I've got to finish it, but I don't think it justifies in any way what happened on October the 7th. But I do agree with you that until that core problem gets resolved, there will never be peace. Sam, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Uncensored. I'm joined now by Israel's former Prime Minister, Ehud Barak. Mr. Barak, thank you very much indeed for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. I want to start by playing you an extract from an interview I did with Prime Minister Netanyahu back in March, in the middle of all the big social unrest in Israel over his attempts to usurp the power of the Supreme Court. Listen to this.
We don't believe in collective punishment. I go after the terrorists, I go after those who support the terrorists, but I don't believe in collective punishment.
It seems to me part of Netanyahu's problem has been that for political expediency, he's had to pack his cabinet full of very hard right people whose incendiary rhetoric has done nothing but fuel a lot of fury amongst the Palestinian people. Would you agree with that?
You know, the nomination of these two racist, messianic, we call it in Yiddish, Michiganers, is a grave mistake on Netanyahu. They are a pariah within the Israeli society, but it has nothing to do with the crisis we are now facing. The barbarian massacre that happened in October 7th started to be prepared before Netanyahu government, more than a year ago, before Netanyahu government was ever established, and it has nothing to do whatsoever. They are huge damage to Israel in more than one way, but they are not the direct cause of this event and these attacks.
When you heard about the scale of what happened on October the 7th, how did that affect you personally? You've been a Prime Minister of Israel, you've been a general in the Defense Force. What was the personal impact on you?
Look, I witnessed our people. It was the most severe blow that Israel suffered since its establishment. We had never such an event where within 24 hours, it's much more than 1,400, probably we'll end up with 1,800, and several hundreds were caught as hostages, and they were slaughtered, literally. It's not just a terror, it's a crime against humanity. No one can remember such pictures since probably Eastern Europe during World War II under the Nazi rule. And that, of course, it shocked the public, but we are a defiant species. We know how to unite when we face an external threat. We are united. We mobilize over 300,000 reservists to make sure there is enough force to avoid any kind of further surprise and to be able to have a major offensive in the Gaza Strip. We got support from the whole world. Prime Minister Sunak is now in Israel, but Biden was there yesterday. Aircraft carrier is closing even some British vessels, and we enjoy a lot of support. And the third element, which is very important, in a way, it's not just a failure of the intelligence, a failure of the operational side, and in spite of heroic response of the soldiers on the ground, it's still a major failure of our defense system. But it's also a major failure of the political level, and basically they lost the trust of the people, and both the government and in a way the military. And an important step was the creation some 4 days ago of a war cabinet made of Netanyahu and other 4 people. 2 of them were added from the opposition leaders, Gantz and Eisenkot. They both are career generals before they turned into politicians. Both were commanders of the armed forces of Israel, and both are very responsible, cool-headed, balanced people. So in a way, their joining the war cabinet make more citizens, including myself, more quiet about the decisions that might come out and translated by the armed forces into action.
If this attack had happened on your watch as Prime Minister, would you have resigned?
It depends to what extent I would feel the situation. I don't want to answer it right now, because there is the question, of course, on the air in regard to Netanyahu. I think that now we have to focus first and foremost on response. We have to do something. No modern state can afford having it. You mentioned earlier 9/11. You think that the terms of the population is like Americans having 9/11 with 50,000 people killed, not 3,500. So it's a major blow. We have now to focus. We have to eradicate any military capability of the Hamas. This is a demanding enough job.
Mr. Barrett, let me just jump in there, because the Geneva Convention outlaws collective punishment. Prime Minister Netanyahu, when I interviewed him back in March, said he did not believe in collective punishment. He wouldn't exercise collective punishment in the way he dealt with Palestinians. But many would argue, including my previous guest Hassan Piker, that the fact that 3,500 Palestinians have already been killed in the last 10 days, since October the 7th, does constitute a form of collective punishment. How do you go after Hamas, given that they are living amongst the civilian population in Gaza, without exercising a collective punishment? Are we not seeing that now?
Israel is committed to the international law. No Israeli commander ever get an order to a pilot to launch a bomb on a hospital. That's a crazy idea, and we can later on talk about it. So we are basically committed to it. It's a major constraint on our operation. The right way is to warn everyone. We cannot afford not acting against the Hamas. So we announced on the first day, every one of you Gazans who know that the place where he lives or the place where he works, there is now, or there was in the past, let's say 2 years, any Hamas activity, a launching pad for a rocket, a lab, a munition or weapons kind of a depot, a kind of operational office or training site, whatever. You should leave the place because we are going to hit it. And we said it once and again every day. Some 4 days ago, we announced all Gazans are asked to move to the southern part of the Gaza Strip in order to allow us to hit the rest. 500,000 moved, another 500,000 did not move. The Hamas deliberately used them as a human shield, deliberately tried to discourage them from leaving.
Let me ask you this. What is a proportionate response? 3,500 Palestinians have already died. If there is a ground invasion with support from the air, perhaps the sea as well, by Israel, that number is going to massively increase. You're going to see tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Palestinians killed here. At what point does it become disproportionate, or indeed, as critics are already saying, a war crime?
I strongly believe that if people will be focused enough to understand that we are going to come with ground forces as well, because you cannot eliminate these barbarian Daesh-like or Al-Qaeda-like groups that are slaughtering civilians in our border. I'm confident that if the UK, the Great Britain, would have 10,000 British citizens slaughtered literally by a Daesh-like group over your border that jumped in, you would take whatever steps. I don't want to go into history and remind you of Dresden and other operations. I want to remind you that the UK, as well as the United States, sent its forces over half of the globe in order to destroy Daesh. These are enemies of mankind, and we have to get rid of them.
But
now,
what happens?
we take all.
Listen, I agree with you. But what happens, Mr. Barrett? What happens?
No, you cannot.
Sorry,
look, Pierce, you cannot ask me why the citizens of Gaza are not leaving the places where we announced them days ahead of time. We are going to go there. It will be tough. We will use fire because we had to get rid of the physical.
Well, it may be, Mr. Barak. Let me put it to you. It may be because this is their home. These are their houses. This is where all their possessions are. It may be that they think to themselves, why should I leave my home? I'm not responsible for what Hamas did. Why am I going to face being killed because of it?
If you or me would have faced the choice whether to be killed as a result of staying there or leaving it and stay alive, I would at least, I know that I would have lived. And they have the right to live, they have the opportunity to live.
Where are they going to go, Mr. Barak? Let me ask you, where are all these Palestinian people going to end up? Where will they live? Where will their homes be?
Don't ask me how it will end up. Once they leave, they move to the southern part of the Gaza Strip. There is enough place for them. We are not going to operate for 10 years. might take several weeks or probably 2 months if there are more people inside it. We will fight Hamas. We will eradicate their infrastructure and their capability of repeat this crime. Israel cannot afford having Hamas attacking us in this way again, and I am confident that any elected government of any country on earth would have done the same. And it's not inevitable that they will kill en masse. They can leave. They can leave now when we are speaking. They can leave tomorrow. They can leave next day. It's not coming within a few hours. But you cannot blame us for the fact that Hamas coerced people to stay as their human shield. You will end up with impunity to a kind of a Daesh-like terrorist, because they always can and handgun some people, including the hostages, I might say, as a kind of human shield for them. And that will paralyze humanity from being able to struggle with its worst enemy. And we are not going to stop it. I'm confident that we are doing our best. Every target is checked more than once by different teams to make sure that it's legitimate.
Okay, Mr. Barak, I'm going to leave it there.
And
Listen,
only then execute.
All I would say is the world is watching, and Israel has got to. I believe in Israel's right to defense, but there is going to be a tipping point if Israel is not careful. If too many Palestinian civilians are slaughtered in revenge for what happened October the 7th, the world's mood will change, and that will be a dangerous moment for Israel and for the world. But listen, we'll have to see what happens. And I realise you're not the person in charge.
I have one remark to make. We heard the same from the Americans. Even without this advice, which I fully respect, we are doing it anyhow. We fully understand. We have several constraints on the operation. One is the hostages. The second is the risk that it will spread to the north and become a regional war. The third one is the question to whom we will pass the torch. Once we clean the area from Hamas, we are not going to stay there for. We need some player to take it. Let's think of Arab multinational force that take responsibility for 3 or 6 months and bring the original recognized owner of the place, which is the Palestinian Authority, or any other variation on this. And the last sincere constraint is the international law. We fully understand that this universal support of Israel will erode as the number of collateral damage, which happen to be it's a kind of vague definition. It's basically people who are innocent and are killed. We don't like to kill people who are innocent.
I understand
but
that,
we understand that the legitimacy erodes.
I have to leave it there. I understand that, but this collective punishment, if it looks more and more like that is what is happening, that will be a breach of the Geneva Convention. So we're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out. Prime Minister, I have to leave it there. I'm sorry. I do appreciate. I understand.
We won't break the Geneva Convention.
I would hope that would not be the case. Edward Barak, I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Puffing on me is hot or not? Let's ask this girl. Can I ask you a quick question? Is it hot or is it not?
It is absolutely.
There is another one. This is not good, gentlemen. This is not good at all. YouTube are now embedding their anti-ad block message into the videos rather than having it as a pop-up. This is not a surprise to anybody. Ads wouldn't be that bad if they were only in the beginning. The fact that they add them at random parts in the middle of the video is what fucking blows. So I want to go ahead and I want to have a little bit of real talk about this, okay? Because there's been a lot of people bringing this up and talking about the ad block situation, and I feel like I need to give out the correct opinion, okay? like I need to give out the correct opinion, okay? Because a lot of people aren't getting it. So, there are multiple problems with this, with ad block, okay? So the ad block, there is another one. This is not good, gentlemen. This is not good at all. YouTube are now embedding their anti-ad block message into the videos rather than having it as a pop-up. This is not a surprise to anybody. Ads wouldn't be that bad if they were only in the beginning. The fact that they add them at random parts in the middle of the video is what fucking blows. So, I want to go ahead and I want to have a little bit of real talk about this, okay? Because there's been a lot of people bringing this up and talking.
Please cover Bassem Youssef on Piers Morgan. It was. It's amazing, says Baltimore Live Show. Okay, let's play this. I think we do have a clip. I'm not terribly familiar with...
years now, and a large part of that time has been... Hello everybody, my name's Redcoat Viking. Welcome back to another video. Hope you're having a great day so far. Now, as you probably already read in the title, this video is all about talking about how solo-friendly EVE Online is. And I'm talking about this from the perspective of someone who's played the game for over 10 years now, and a large part of that time has been spent solo. So I feel like this is going to be coming from somewhere I have a fairly good understanding of. So if you're interested in getting into EVE Online, but you're always maybe put off by the prospect of having to be on Discord 24/7 and just have loads of people around you constantly grouping up and doing fun things together with team building exercises and icebreakers to boot, well, this video's for you. Now, there are a lot of ways to play EVE Online, but the sheer amount of stuff there is to do in the game can be pretty overwhelming for a lot of new players, because unlike a lot of other games out there, EVE doesn't really point you in any particular direction or tell you what to do once you complete the tutorial. It kind of just teaches you the basics and then releases you into this massive universe with seemingly endless possibilities and loads of stories about all this epic, mind-blowing kind of stuff going on in the world, a mountain of things to learn and skills to train, and it basically gives you no advice at all on where to even begin figuring it all out. And so because of that, a lot of new players end up quitting. There's no doubt it can be a pretty brutal experience, and the learning curve is well known throughout the gaming world. But one of the most common questions I get asked on this channel or my other EVE Online videos is whether or not it's even possible to play this game solo and actually succeed at it. And the answer is a simple yes, although it might not necessarily seem that way for your first few weeks. The fact is that it's completely playable solo, whether you want to be a casual miner or you're just interested in doing PvE combat sites and missions, or you want to become a hardcore PvPer that can take on entire fleets on your own. You can do it all, and you can actually succeed at it as a solo player, with only really a handful of rare exceptions. Now, will you die? Absolutely, you will die. Everybody dies in EVE. It's a brutal game. Dying is in fact what makes sure that the market keeps on turning over, because if people aren't dying, that means they're not having to buy ships. And so if you're not buying ships, the whole economy will crash and so on. It'll become a mess. But yeah, whether you're in a fleet or on your own, death is just a part of the game, and as annoying as it might be, it's just part of it, and something you'll need to get used to. And honestly, I normally say if you're not dying, or at least getting into situations that routinely make you soil yourself, then you're just not playing the game in the right way. It'll be rough, it'll be hair-raising, and there'll be times that'll test your nerves to the limit, even when you're doing something that you think should be fairly safe. But it will also be one of the most rewarding and memorable experiences that you can have in gaming. period. And you'll remember those thrilling moments that you have as a Capsuleer in New Eden for probably the rest of your life. I know I do, at least so far, until I get old and get Alzheimer's. Then I might forget, but so far I remember a lot of the best times I've had in the game. But before we get more into all that, let me just address the most obvious question probably on a lot of people's minds right now as you're watching this video. Why would you want to play an MMO solo when the very name, Massively Multiplayer Online, suggests that the game was kind of built to be played with other people, especially when everything allegedly becomes so much easier when you join a player corp and do stuff together as a fleet instead? Well, like I said, as someone who prefers spending most of my gaming time doing my own thing, and having played this game for over 10 years, I feel like I can answer this one with a fair bit of insight. Quite frankly, people have a tendency to... how can I put this without hurting anyone's feelings? Well, people suck. Now, I don't mean everyone, and I obviously don't mean you, because you're awesome. And quote-unquote people can be pretty awesome when they want to be, but generally speaking, I find things just go a lot smoother when I know what I'm doing and what I want to achieve, and there's nobody else around getting involved with their opinions or ideas, or showing up 30 minutes late to a pre-planned fleet operation, or turning up on time and then starting to fit out a ship, especially when we're talking about a bunch of random gamers getting together who've never met each other before, trying to work together to achieve the impossible, where half of them are getting chewed out by their wives for not helping out more around the house, and the other half are watching Band of Brothers and doing their taxes on the second monitor. I think if you've ever played a semi-serious multiplayer game before, you know what I'm talking about. So to answer the question, I enjoy playing MMOs solo just because it's simpler. There's no drama, there's no personality clashes or any feelings that can get hurt, and after 8 hours of work, honestly, sometimes I just want to come home and turn on a game and be around other people without necessarily interacting with them or having to be on all the time. And I expect there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way. So what exactly can you do as a solo player in EVE Online? Is there anything that you kind of have to do as a fleet, things you can't do solo? And the answer is both yes and no, and just like in the real world, knowledge is key, and generally your understanding of the game is going to be the most limiting factor when you're new, and as you evolve and you start to understand the game more, you'll eventually start seeing as well that it's not actually all that complicated, and there's a lot more going on than simply how much skill points someone has and what kind of ship they're flying. A lot of what you can and can't do comes down to a simple combination of how many skill points your character has and your personal knowledge of the game mechanics, with the latter part being by far the most important factor. Let's take PvP, for example. Even all the skill points in the world won't make you win a fight if the guy you're fighting against has a better understanding of the fundamental mechanics going on in the background, such as turret tracking, angular velocity, speed tanking, or just general ship knowledge. Even if your opponent is in a tiny little Tech 1 frigate with puny light guns, and you're in a great big Tech 2 fitted battleship with over 1000 DPS, it isn't a guaranteed win for you in the battleship just because it's bigger and scarier, and that's something I see a lot of new players doing wrong. They want to try and get to the biggest ship as quickly as possible, and really, to me, the bigger the ship, the more cumbersome it is. If you're flying a battleship and you go into dangerous space, you're going to need a bigger support fleet to try and keep you alive, because it is, although it can hit hard, it's not really all that efficient as a solo ship unless you really know what you're doing. For example, if the frigate pilot in that situation understands how weapon tracking works and knows the proper way to get close to you and get into an orbit around you at about 500 meters and take out your drones without getting swatted like a fly in the process, then you in the battleship are basically just dead in the water. Yes, it might take that frigate a while to grind down your massive shields and armor, but the battleship's huge guns just turn far too slowly to be able to hit the frigate, which is moving around it too fast. So eventually either the frigate's going to run out of ammo or the battleship will die. In those situations, it is handy to have a few friends nearby, but just because we're playing solo doesn't mean we can't have friends as well. Situations like that happen, and they happen more often than you think, and if you're planning on playing this game mostly solo, this is the kind of stuff you're going to have to learn if you want to level the playing field, because usually you're going to be fighting against the odds, or at the very best you're going to be in dangerous space where help for the enemy could just be around the corner, so you need to get in, get the kill, and get out as fast as possible, or you need to get the ore as fast as possible, or whatever. I'm thinking PvP mostly in my mind, but all of this stuff kind of applies to PvE and mining and stuff as well. But although you'll be fighting against the odds in a lot of cases, solo pilots do tend to have a far better understanding of the game's mechanics, simply because you've had to learn them in order to survive. And that makes you as a pilot far, far better than the regular line infantry that only fly in fleets and anchor on the fleet commander and press F1 to fire their guns whenever they're told to. As a miner or explorer, your main goal is to make ISK, which is something you mostly do on your own anyway, even if you're in a huge player corp. As a miner, it can be hugely beneficial to have an Orca in the fleet that can boost your mining yield quite substantially, but it's not necessary, and it's not something you just have to learn to live with if you're a solo. You could, for example, befriend an Orca pilot that you see out in space, just convo them and fleet up with them whenever you want to mine, or you can even make your own alt account and just have that character sat in an Orca boosting you whenever you want to mine to increase your profits if it's not something that you can live without. Personally, I think mining is pretty boring anyway, so it's not something I would recommend, and also in these days, in high sec at least, it's just not really worth mining. You want to be out in more dangerous space, and you certainly don't want to be taking an Orca or really any kind of boosting ship out there with you. You generally want to do it in something fast and agile like a Venture or the Tech 2 equivalent, which is the Prospect, and the other one, which I don't remember the name of. Personally, one of my favourite things to do solo is just jump into a really cheap scanning frigate with such a cheap fit you can literally fly it on your very first day in the game. Something like the Caldari Heron, which I use as an example in my probe scanning tutorial video, so do check that out if you're thinking about doing any of that. And then I head out to nullsec to run some data and relic sites, something known as hacking. And I routinely bring in anywhere between 50 to 200 million ISK an hour, depending on whether or not I've earned the blessing of the RNG gods on that particular day. And I'm not exaggerating when I say you can fly that ship and earn that money on your very first day, technically speaking. Again, you're going to have a lot to learn. It might not really be realistically possible to do it on your very first day because you're going to be busy with the tutorial and learning how to simply move your ship and fly around in space. But you'll be able to start earning between 50 and 200 million ISK an hour doing hacking if you're brave enough to go into nullsec space and if you're willing to put in the time and energy to research everything you need to know. The information is out there on the internet, it's very easy to find, but a lot of players kind of are just used to games these days guiding them and telling them what needs to be done, what they need to do to improve, give you a very clear oversight of everything that's going on in your character so you know how to maybe, do something different a bit next time, and EVE's just not like that. You have to be able to find solutions to problems as and when they appear, and again, Google is your best friend for that if you don't want to join a player corp. You can also raid wormholes on your own, or ninja salvage people's mission sites on your own, head into low or nullsec space and harvest valuable gas for drug production on your own, and you can even wipe out or scatter entire fleets on your own once you get good enough in PvP. Just expect to die a lot in the process. It all just comes down to game knowledge. Back when I was new, I started PvPing and I lost 50 ships before getting a single kill. And we're not talking cheap ships here, I'm a bit dumb, so I was flying semi-expensive, at least to me at the time, cruisers, battle cruisers, and I was just whelping them into PvP, and I wasn't really learning what I did wrong, but each time I think maybe I learned a tiny bit even if I didn't realize it, and eventually I started just kind of intuitively understanding what needed to be done, how to get to range, how do I get to a sniper battleship without him, one-hit killing me, stuff like that. But it was a painful process, but it was also a memorable process, and there was a lot of engagements I had there that I still remember today. Even though I lost, I enjoyed it, and that's the main thing. But yeah, you have to be willing and able to research everything and learn the core mechanics of the game, and that's generally where a lot of new players fall down. Where I'd say the line gets drawn about what you can do as a solo player is when you want to do the really, really big stuff that's deliberately made for large groups, like taking on an enemy capital ship fleet or destroying an enemy citadel, which is like a player deployed station on your own. That's pretty hard, and I'd say mostly impossible even for the most hardened veterans. But it's designed to be that way on purpose, because although it might be a bit annoying from the perspective of a solo pilot, imagine how broken the game would be for the 500-odd man corporation that saved and scrounged together enough ISK to build their own player-owned station, only for a single solo pilot to fly in and be able to wipe it all out or hold it ransom. It just wouldn't work, and at the end of the day it's an MMO, you can play it either solo or together with a large group, and so the game is designed in that way. So don't expect to go around solo killing everyone's stations and taking over the whole universe. That's not going to happen on your own, but you can definitely make a name for yourself as a kind of nomadic pirate or whatever kind of player you want to be. You can make a name for yourself solo. It just makes everything a little bit more challenging and a little bit more rewarding because of it. And as a solo, I find it is best to live a nomadic lifestyle anyway, never staying in the same place for too long, to always try and get the best opportunities. And so really, I've never been in a situation where I absolutely had to wipe out a station or attack an enemy capital ship fleet. I don't think even really seen a capital ship fleet other than 1 or 2 times many years ago when I was in one. And even then, there's nothing stopping you from joining a player corp and being a solo player at the same time. That's what I would recommend. And then you can just fleet up with them when you feel like doing something as a group, but otherwise you can just fly around doing your own thing as a solo pilot. Just being in a player corp doesn't mean that you suddenly chain down and have to do everything with someone else all the time. So there's no hard line drawn in the sand saying you have to be on your own or with other people all the time. Plus, on top of that, as I said earlier, you can still have mutual friends that you meet in space and fly around with them as well, building relationships with them over time. So there's really not much stopping you from being able to play the game solo or together, or really any way you want that I can think of. Like I said, being solo will take blood, it'll take sweat, and it'll definitely take a fair few tears while you struggle to conquer the game's well-known learning curve, but Google is your best friend, and there's also a lot of useful information and guides out there on YouTube, and I can highly recommend the EVE University wiki that pretty much answers any question you can have in extraordinary detail. And once you get over that initial hump, your first couple of days, you do start to see that the game really isn't all that complicated. It's just really, really deep. But once you understand the core fundamentals of the game, the rest of it all tends to fall into place. So I say go for it. If you want to play it solo but you've been hesitant, go for it. Just give it a try. Play it solo. What have you got to lose? If you do decide to give it a go and you're new to the game or you haven't yet claimed your 1 million free skill points that you get for signing up or logging in using my affiliate link, then you can do so using the link in the video description below to save about a month's worth of skill training and get some of the most boring stuff out of the way early. If you're not sure what skills you want or what skills you should get, I highly recommend putting your 1 million free skill points into one of the Magic 14 skills. And if you Google Magic 14, you'll be able to find some good information about what they are and why they're called the Magic 14 skills, but they generally are just beneficial to every type of ship you can fly, and so it's typically the stuff you want to get out of the way early. But anyway, that's all for now, so thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it at least vaguely interesting and or helpful, and if there's any other EVE related topic you'd like to see me talk about or explain, go ahead and drop a comment below and I'll see what I can do. But that's all for this video, so bye for now, and as always, take care and fly safe.
Cold wind remembers the darkest of days. When the reins of our world...
Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome to another video for EVE Online. And it's a bit of a special one that we're going to be doing today because oh boy, this has been the most insane video that I've ever had to record. Not insane in sort of the difficulty or the craziness of the actual content, but in actually getting this ship into a position where I could use it. Today we're going to be looking at the Angel Cartel's brand new destroyer, the Mekubal. And I'm going to show you a fit I've actually been using this for ratting in. Yes, I've been ratting in a Mekubal. I am that much of a moron. But we're also going to talk a little bit about some PvP fits and stuff as well. A bit more theory crafting on that because I'm not really willing to chuck this into a PvP situation just yet. We will talk about how you get these ships in a brief bit as well, but to explain why this has been insane, well, essentially...
Hey guys, Starfield review is done. Over a month and a half I played this game. Hundreds of hours of footage to go through. It took a while, but it's here. Thank you to you guys for supporting. Thank you to G Fuel for continuing to sponsor us. We got Jason, we got Chucky, we got Freddy, Halloween flavors. It goes directly to supporting our show. Use our promo code down below. Grab yourself some. It'll help us out. And yeah, also I had this crazy idea. I met this guy from GeekNationTours.com. He was thinking about throwing an Angry Joe geek guided tour. So I was wondering, would you go on vacation with us? Like, we're talking expensive, like thousands of dollars. We only need 8 people to make it a reality. We'll go hang out for like 10 days together, visit a country, do activities, play games, visit castles, visit, you know, sightseeing together. We were thinking about renting a bus, and your rooms would be taken care of, and all these activities taken care of. Because that's a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars. You just align your vacation plans with our vacation plans. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, if you can leave a comment or tweet at me, or email the Terrace, who puts together the tours for us, at this email address down below, or email me. We just need, like I said, 8 people, I think, to get it going, and I just think it would be cool to have like this kind of private Angry Joe group. Well, private, we would invite anybody, and go hang out together and experiencing something together. So let me know if you think it's a good idea or a bad idea or whatever. Just gauge an interest to see how many of you might want to go on vacation together, and in 2024. You know, this is not anytime soon, so don't feel rushed. And I just was kind of curious because I want to get back out there and you know, do some activities together. So thought it would be cool. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and you're about to meet the most notorious criminal in all of the Starfield universe. Check it out.
Wait, there's a mistake. There has to be. I don't belong with these people.
Look at the new fucking. Listen, fish, there's a hierarchy in here, and I'm the number 2 man. You got it?
Okay.
15 counts of space piracy.
Oh.
17 murders.
What?
And I scuttled the school bus.
You did?
But he's the top dog.
Him?
It's 227 murders. Men, women, and children.
Hey.
So, meat, what are you in for?
Well, you see, I took a sip from another man's drink.
This guy's hardcore.
Holy shit, dude, this guy's dark.
Yeah, that's right. They call me Drink Stealing Joe. I sip and drink. I sip and drink right now. I don't care. I sip it real good, you see?
Drinks.
I sip it anybody's drink. It ain't even mine. I drink it. It's not even mine, and I drink it.
That's unsanitary. There could be like spit in there. Gross.
Joe, sip drinking, drink sipper. That's what they call me. Drink Stealing Joe.
Warden.
I'll sip your drink.
He's got the crazy guys.
I'll sip your drink right now.
You're supposed to protect me.
Don't make eye contact. Don't look at him.
I sip it real good now. Give me your drinks, bitch. Yeah, we made fun of Mass Effect Andromeda for your face is tired. You bet your ass we're gonna go after Starfield for the same shit 6 years later.
To who? To whom? And your goddamn father. Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
Hell, I'd even say some of the faces are better in that game than they are here in Starfield.
It's cliche, but it's true.
Jesus Christ, you oogly.
Be my guest.
Sheesh!
Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Yeah, I'm here to purchase a ship. I killed a bunch of people, I took their money, and then I'm ready to buy a new... Do you mind looking at me when I'm talking to you, please?
I am looking at you.
Turn around and face me so that I know I'm engaging with somebody face to face. Please.
Oh God! What is wrong with your face?
Sorry, my face is a little tired, but I'm fine.
Your face is how? How, after all of this time, is your face still tired?
Oh, hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Attention. Carrier jump sequence is underway. Lockdown begins in 5 minutes.
You know what? I can't even take you seriously. I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Look, after the disaster that was Fallout 76, Bethesda desperately needed a win, and everyone knew it.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding. Go where you want, do whatever you want. And again, it just works.
Here, their first new franchise, 25 years in the making according to them, with nearly 8 years of active development. Well, it's out now.
You are a sight for sore eyes.
Easily defeated.
Before spacers broke into the outpost, I was relaying. Taurus ain't bad as far as COs go.
Enemy activity in the area has ceased.
And after having put a full month into the game, I can confidently say that it's not as bad as Fallout 76! Hey! We did it! Woohoo! That's something. Congratulations. However, it's also a pretty big disappointment. Wait, what? Oh, were we celebrating too early? Yes, because this game has flaws. Huge flaws. That's when I was like, oh, fuck. What do you mean got some business with the Rangers? You said to follow you. So here's what happened.
Oh.
She could not
This
get
asshole.
past this guy, and he was melding through the fucking... Like, who is that? Is he supposed to be there? What? Who is it?
Yeah,
I have
that's what it says
never...
right here. Look.
This is a fucking Bethesda game, bro. I have never had to do this.
There you go. Hey, you did it. Problem solved.
Wow.
Now you
I
can
have
get
to
the
fucking
ship.
Developer console command. Break all the achievements so I can fucking actually do my fucking quest. Like, from a long time ago, from their other games, yet still here in a completely new game, a decade later. Those kind of flaws.
In fact, I know some folks that'd love to set up there if it was safe. If you could make sure the old workshop there is still in one piece, anyone who decides...
Bethesda, why are we using camera angles from like 20 years ago? Like literally 20 years ago with Morrowind.
You like to dance close to the fire, don't you?
camera zooming in on an NPC standing in place with a 1,000-mile stare. What?
Hello. Hello there.
In many places, we're going backwards. Why can't I name my fucking saves? I hate that I can't, like, name my saves. Why can't I name my saves? Like that, like why? I need to be able to know what...
Bad.
Like,
this is
you
my
know,
bad
like,
one.
to remind me what it is. Why don't NPCs react when I pull out a gun and try to murder everyone?
Could be needles there. Or mines. No, don't do this.
So the police are just cool with it?
Keep it moving. The fuck you want?
Why is there no transmog for my shit? Why are the enemies so stupid? Still.
Where's he
Where do you think
going?
you're going? Where you
Thomas!
going?
This is the worst security ever.
Bro, what are you doing?
Thomas!
I just killed your whole fucking crew, bro. This fucking AI. You gonna tell me this is good?
Trying to get some distance between you guys.
Come on.
Never gonna catch me.
And you took the time to make a space nightclub like in Mass Effect. So why can't I dance in the fucking space nightclub like in Mass Effect?
Spam B.
There's no dance button, Joe. Well, honestly, my dance is better than their dance. Joe, this club is whack. Let's go.
How much did you pay to get in?
Cover charge was $30.
Oof.
She's not even dancing. She's pulling rope. Why are you pulling the rope? Stop pulling rope to you. Stop putting the toys in the cupboard. What kind of dance move is this?
Karate. Karate. Karate.
It's not even karate.
Karate. Cute.
So stupid. Look, I could forgive a lot of this Bethesda game stuff if there was a ton of fun quests to do. But honestly, there's not a lot of memorable quests from the main story. There's a few, but fewer than I expected.
Would you be willing to retrieve some additional data for me? I'm sure we can work something out. So, are you on board?
This better be cool. I can't really pick out one other than pure combat quests that I am really going to remember fondly years from now. That is, unless you count that one time I accidentally took a sip of a drink at a bar and became an intergalactic most wanted criminal. Classic highball made with whiskey and soda, garnished with lemon. Really? Alyssa Milano?
Nice to see you. First time in the Atlantis.
I literally just started drinking. Apparently that made me so dangerous and skilled at drink stealing that I was recruited for the special forces in going undercover into a massive pirate pirate fleet. What the fuck?
This is the criminal incident that landed you in my crosshairs.
I drank somebody's drink on accident because it was on the table and nobody was near it. Really?
I'm going to make this simple. Agree to work for UCC.
And now I have to go undercover in the Crimson Fleet and risk my life.
It was fucking hilarious. Honestly, I loved it.
You have permission to speak.
Drink still.
I sip it real good now. Give me your drinks, bitch. I hope that the game would have way more fun stuff like this, and that it would eventually happen later. Sadly, nothing like that really happened again. But I'll get to the disappointing side quests and main quests in a minute. I'm still ranting on the Bethesda-ness.
Always a pleasure to meet someone. Welcome to the Trade Authority. I'm Marcel. And if there's anything.
Seriously, how the fuck is it 2023 and you still can't make the NPCs look at me when I talk to them? Hey, how's it going? Is this the Trade Authority? I got a lot of stuff to sell.
Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Well, I'm over here. I'm here in your store.
Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Well, I'd like, maybe if you can make eye contact with me, that would be nice.
Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
No. Do you think maybe you could like turn around and face me, please? Okay, you know what?
Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Just forget it. Just fucking forget it. I got a lot of crap to sell. There is no doubt there's been some innovations here and there, right? An obvious uptick in graphics since then.
I am
Space
always willing to carry an extra weapon.
See, she's cute here.
Or two.
With that lighting.
Or three.
Well, at least in some places, others still looking pretty rough.
Oh my gosh, she's looking at us this time.
Quite well for itself down here.
I mean,
She still looks scary.
somewhat looking at us. It's getting better. Oh, hey, you look that.
But after all this time, I really expected Starfield to be somewhat next-gen, and frankly, none of this screams next-gen to me. What it does scream is an aging engine that's been asked to do yet one more last gymnastics match.
What? You guys still exist? Man, I've only heard stories.
We've heard stories too, about a strange object you found on patrol.
At least it's funny. It's still got the Bethesda charm.
He glides now.
Excuse
where
me.
are you going?
Excuse me. Excuse me. They fly now? They fly now.
I was like, wait a minute, does he have a jetpack too? Oh, he's going up! Slow wee man.
Shit, where you going, bro?
You're on the water.
What?
Oh no!
What stolen items? The guy in the air is gonna fucking kill me?
Come down here and say that.
You'll never take me alive!
I cannot, will not be a part of this.
And don't get me wrong, I'm being really tough on it right at the front. I like this game. I had some fun in it.
If we get scanned with that on board, we will get fucked.
Give it to Andrea, let her take the heat.
I don't think it works like
What?
that.
You had the audacity to bring contraband in my ship? But you said, silence, woman. Take her away, officer.
You said, silence.
Take her away.
Take her away.
Shut her mouth too. I don't want her talking anymore.
But everything that seems designed to waste your time, as if racking up hours and hours of in-game time will somehow make people believe that the game is so good because they spent a lot of time in it. In fact, I'm spending the majority of time making up for my ridiculously small inventory limit, fighting my oxygen levels and encumbrance restrictions, and fumbling through some of the worst UI and multiple menus with buried prompts to do basic things like fucking fast travel and character management.
Oh shit, desktop geode? I'm taking that for my ship. Are we encumbered already? You're joking. We're fucking encumbered. I made it up.
I think what you do is you select drop, and then you forget that you ever had the item. That's how you're gonna get
I
around.
can never do that. It's like, that's money. I'm leaving on the floor.
Yeah, okay.
Apparently, everyone in the world, except for Todd Howard, knows that we play these games to collect the fucking loot.
Sometimes it doesn't just work.
Because for some ungodly reason, he makes it ridiculously time-consuming to sell the shit that we collect at shops from even just one combat encounter.
What? There's so many goddamn restrictions and this and that. What do you mean?
Well, good thing you can fast travel anywhere you want in this game.
No, you can't fast travel while you're encumbered.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. You are over encumbered.
But it's by space.
The few shops that are there will barely have any money on hand and will force you to wait insane times to refill their purse. Why am I doing shit like this in the game?
Oh my God, but what are you doing? Why are you wasting my time?
It takes longer to sit here than it does to travel to a different planet.
What the fuck?
You too have to wait 24 hours. Yep, that's the end of the stream. We'll see you tomorrow.
How many meters?
17.
So I waited 24 hours for him to get $600?
Yeah. We said he reset. We didn't say he'd fill up.
Fuck you, Bethesda.
It's 42 hours. It's 48 hours. It's...
You got time to wait for waiting?
Oh, it's 42 hours?
Are you sure?
Is it because it's more realistic? Well, it's fucking stupid and boring. Wait a minute. You only have $7?
Unfortunately, yes. But if you like to wait, there's a seat right here you can take and wait 48 hours. I will have more money by then.
Excuse me, what? You're the Galactic Trade Authority, and you don't even have enough money for me to trade all of this crap?
Unfortunately, no. But if you like to wait right there, 48 hours, but you have to do it in 24-hour periods, and it takes forever.
Just this chair right here. I just sit down?
Yes, right there. Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Oh my God. Yes, I'm here to barter. I'm waiting 48 hours for you to have more money.
Hello, traveler. How can I help you? Hello, traveler. How can I help you?
Clearly designed to waste as much of your time as possible to keep you in the game for immersion. But this isn't the shit that is immersive. It's just annoying and frustrating.
That is true. Something like that. Now wait again.
Yeah.
But you know, at launch, no one could say a bad thing about this game when it first came out without being crucified like Dan Stapleton was for daring to give the game a 7 out of 10. I actually had a guy go off on me on Twitter for an extended period of time for daring to share these initial impressions. Like, I noticed how the game's numerous restrictive loading screens pulled me out of the experience. You see, in this expansive space game, you can't actually land or take off on planets like you think you could.
So it's basically just skyboxes in front of the planet? Oh man.
You can't actually even travel between those planets in space!
I think we're getting closer. Doesn't look like we're getting closer to this. Are we there yet?
At sublight speeds, as you can in, well, nearly every other space game.
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm away from the planet so far. How? Hold space. It'll do a little lightning bolt in the bottom right. Okay.
Test the Starship system. It says hold space to test the pulse engine.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, it'd be one day otherwise.
Whoa!
Without the hyperdrive.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, and it's just autopilot once you get it locked.
Yep.
Then you can just chill as you zoom through space. I keep going through asteroid fields, man.
This is awesome, man.
Am I supposed to release at some point?
I just did.
This is so cool, dude.
No, instead, there's the much, much more immersive loading screen. You literally fast travel everywhere without a real chance to really get into a rhythm. You get in your ship and you fast travel to the next tiny place and you're done. Hey, Joe. Are we there yet, Joe? Are we there yet, Joe?
Actually, yeah, we're here. We just landed.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you ready?
Like right now?
Yeah, you didn't see the cutscene? It's over.
I didn't get to do the joke. Are you there yet? You know?
Well, there's no time. The cutscene ended. We're here. I pressed X, and that's it.
There's no journey. Like we can encounter stuff. And it just.
Why do you want that? We're here. Isn't this where you wanted to go?
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. And the loading screens, load and field, it's unacceptable. And if you don't install this on your SSD on your PC, God help you. Why should we have to? There's a loading screen to space travel. There's a loading screen to take off. There's a loading screen to land. There's an unskippable loading screen to dock. There's a loading screen between certain areas and certain buildings. There's even an invisible wall on planets that if you explore too far out from your landing point, it's gonna stop you. It's gonna force you back into a loading screen, back to your ship, and a loading screen, and do it all over again on a different procedurally generated spot on the planet.
We have dreamt of a game where we can truly break the creation engine in every aspect. Once you've all upgraded your PCs, you'll be able to explore thousands of barren planets where a real sense of loneliness will start setting in. I mean, we tried to do something new where you could explore with complete freedom in the galaxy. Can you imagine 16 times the loading screens, though?
Yeah, I wish I could talk about the loading screens, and it's quite an experience, and I know everyone here is very excited to experience it soon.
Bethesda promised us an unparalleled exploration. And this seems very parallel to me. Like the game engine wasn't designed for it, and it was kind of forced to do it in a patchwork kind of way.
Add to this, I honestly believe we have the worst UI in the world because, hey, you know, the modders will fix that. And after 100 hours in the game, I still have no idea where anything is in New Atlantis. I honestly have zero clue where my penthouse apartment is.
The selling point of the game, the exploration, it sucks pee-pee. It's long stretches of walking with nothing interesting around, like there was in Skyrim and Morrowind, Fallout 3, hell, even No Man's Sky. Fuck how I'd give anything to see something stupid like that on these barren planets in Starfield.
Dog on the ground.
Without
now,
the animation.
And now he's behind you.
What?
These suckers are fast.
Fucking idiotic. There are over 1,000 planets with maybe less than 10% of compelling content to any of them. And this is apparently intentional and by design. Todd Howard said this himself. Everyone's concerned that empty planets are going to be boring. But when the astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. And they certainly weren't bored. Well, more often than not, I'm fucking bored, Todd!
Let's move on to quests then. Could you give us an example of what that's like?
Yeah, Jeff. As an example of a quest, you'll go to a star yard, talk to a lady, need to fetch a beverage, 10 loading screens later, and you've got a beverage. That's it. That's the only quest in that handcrafted location.
How can the billions of planets in No Man's Sky somehow be more interesting and zen to explore than the 1,695 planets in Starfield?
That's what I'm saying. Where are all the alien women?
Frankly, the universe is kind of boring.
Yes. That's what I like. You go to the planets, it feels fucking empty. It doesn't feel like.
Where all the alien women at? This ain't Star Trek, Joe. This ain't
No,
the green
like,
ladies. But
I get that. No,
honestly, I would love
want-
that. I would love it if it was way more interesting.
Yeah, because like I said
It's
before, I
just
wanted it
not
to be like
interesting.
Star Wars.
They
like
wanted
go
to
different
do
galaxies or different places.
NASA. They wanted to do post NASA, and that's a creative decision. I just think it's
wrong.
It's
I just think it's wrong.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them get creative with like different kinds of species, like talking to new life forms.
God, this reminds me of Mass Effect Andromeda, only more boring.
How do I know that there's 1,695 planets? Because there's a player that explored all of them, Doom Zero. But even he couldn't get the game to register that he did that due to a Bethesda bug. Of course. It's of course. The tedium and the boredom, and he still didn't get credit. This is Bethesda's biggest game ever, yet it somehow feels like the smallest.
And make it a little more enjoyable as if I had like a vehicle.
Doom buggy?
Yeah. That'd be fucking sweet.
Cool ass Mars rover. That fits the NASA punk thing you're going for, right?
It really does.
I would take a mountain.
Maybe that's a DLC. You gotta spend another $20.
Never in my life have I seen a worse map system than this game. I mean, look at this shit.
Which way am I facing, Joe?
Yes.
That away.
Wait.
Is it
but
that
then
way?
you have like that
or is
cone
it that
vision.
way
You're
and
looking
that
to the
way?
left.
The cone.
Yeah, the cone vision is.
You can barely even tell at a glance which way I'm supposed to be facing, much less where any of the fucking shops are.
Well, I'm in New Atlantis, so that's good. Let me just quickly check the map. I should be able to easily find the enhanced shop. Okay, I think it's right about here. Right about here. Or it could actually be maybe this dot right here. Or is it this dot?
With JP Morgan Wealth Plan, faraway goals are closer than you think, like a lakeside retirement. Simply set your goals, track, and adjust. Wealth Plan, free in the Chase mobile app. JP Morgan Wealth Management offers investment products and services through JP Morgan Securities LLC, member FINRA SIPC.
I forget. Excellent maps. I definitely know.
And that's even if you get a fucking map. Many interiors and cities have absolutely no fucking map at all.
Not only is there no fucking map that's worth a fucking damn, but there's no fucking sign to enhance.
What the fuck? Again, just like in a lot of other Bethesda games of old, all of this stuff would be given a pass and forgiven if the game itself had that fantastic main storyline questline and some impressive faction quests. But I'd argue that here in Starfield, those are some of its weakest parts of the game. With some really below average writing and setups. I felt like I was doing mundane tasks at a normal job rather than playing a fun sci-fi game when I was literally asked to do mundane tasks at a normal job.
Let's get started.
3 times? Why 3 times?
We understand each other.
3 times on this first shift, but we gotta do 2 shifts, so we have to do 6 times.
After that, the clock finish your shift. Well,
Not just for some gimmicky one-off quest, but for the majority of some faction quests, like the reunion bits.
The last question. If you worked here for 5 years, what role would you see yourself in?
I was so fucking bored.
finds to investigate.
Since
you found this, I am trusted to investigate.
Stealth is so bad in this game, it's hilarious.
They see you, but they don't care. You're detected. So he's going behind that very important computer. Oh well. Be on the computer? Ah, I lost it. you just picturing it though, you're just like looking, you're walking, keeping eye contact. See what you're doing.
Something that we'd make fun of in any other game. Like, most of the storylines start really poorly and only get good. Sometimes they do get good at the end of each one of the faction quests. But I was shocked at how few and memorable some of these are.
So all I needed to do is run past all the duplicates, pistol the dude in the face twice.
But wait, there's more! It's not over.
What the fuck? That was the final boss battle?
And the times I laughed out loud is when I used the ridiculously broken persuasion system to get people to do shit that they would never actually really do.
How'd you get so damn cocky? Well, you might have a point.
Just a single choice. You went with the hardest one, and you fail. I fail all the greens, and you just choose a red, and it works.
It's the power of seduction, man.
I don't know about this persuasion system. It seems kind of stupid. That was dumb as fuck, Joe. It was like, she's like, this is way too risky for me and my people. Yeah, but what if you tried it? Oh,
That's
yeah.
something I never thought of.
That's something I never
You're onto something.
Of the factions, the Rangers, you help farmers and fight soldiers. The Crimson, you help criminals and you fight soldiers. Ryujin Industries, you do fetch quests in mundane jobs to help suits fuck each other over in a corporate hierarchy. Yay! And do terrible stealth. Yay! Most of them are painfully boring and dull and feel honestly like side quests in any other RPG. I can barely remember anybody's name. Only the UC has a good, multifaceted storyline that lets you fight creatures that are an actual threat, and it has some interesting lore bits. But for me, that wasn't enough to warrant additional playthroughs of all these other lackluster bits that the game thinks you'll want to do.
My ship's not too far from here. I'll mark it on your scanner and we can book it together.
I kept thinking, somewhere out there amongst these 1,000 planets, there would be some really awesome side quests that would take my breath away and show the potential of an entire galaxy and sci-fi at its best, but that never really came. The best it has to offer is maybe the old Earth colony ship quest, or the random AI you find on a ship, or maybe Project Starseed. But oh, I did fly around in a 0G abandoned casino. That was cool.
This is pretty cool. 0G gunfighting.
But honestly, I had more fun with random encounters in the middle of a desert in Red Dead than I did here in Starfield. And the damn actual main Constellation storyline might be the worst of them all. And when things really get crazy and you start to discover your Starborn powers, which is really just a pathetic rehash of Dragonborn powers, you're copying yourself, and it's embarrassing.
And I am Starborn. You know Dragonborn?
Yes.
I am now Starborn.
But now we're in space.
But now we're in space.
But fine, I thought, okay, cool. At least we're gonna go through some awesome, cool stuff to get them and to find them dynamically in the world, or at the end of a really cool and challenging dungeon, like in Skyrim. No! You're just given a fetch quest by the same person, and you go to a samey-looking planet, you walk in a straight line where there's nothing interesting to do in between. And you enter the same-looking building every fucking time and engage with the worst, most pointless flying ring minigame ever. You float around repeatedly in a small room, running into star glitter JPEGs like this is Superman 64 or some shit. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
too slow.
Isn't it funny that the visual feedback that you get from it, it feels like you're not even going through it? It just looks like it's either dissipating or appearing, but there's no like collection animation, so you're not sure if you collected it all.
I'm just maybe the music will get louder.
The music gets louder, but I'm just talking about the visual effects.
And you repeat this for each and every one. What the fuck? With no variation.
Can you get this one?
Good job.
I'm the best.
This is so super. I mean, this is majestic and amazing.
You're doing it, Joe. You're doing it.
It's like every kids movie ever.
Yeah. Started to believe, Alex.
He's starting to believe. Shut the fuck up. You can't do this 17 times in the game and expect me to care.
This part is really bad.
Oh, it goes on forever.
Who thought this was an interesting way to do all of the Starborn stuff? Really? The same? No one can excuse this. It's fucking stupid. And some of the powers that get unlocked by doing these are lame at that.
Solar flare!
Solar flare! Oh shit!
Tap in the power of the sun and release a directed orb of searing hot plasma. I'll use it on this level 1.
Oh, he's melting!
Oh my god. Limited power! Very limited power! The grenade did more than the surface of the sun. Or one bullet is gonna do more. What? Ready? Here's the surface of the sun, and here's 2 bullets. You can unlock very limited power. Somebody, it was a mild inconvenience. They moved to the side. Feel the power of a sun.
He shrank his shirt.
It's hot.
Show's too hot. His clothes got tighter.
I can't breathe.
Sure, there are some better ones, and you can even level these through multiple playthroughs. And honestly, you break the game. You can make yourself super overpowered with like the time freeze one.
In my next video, I will make a
This power is infinite uptime. Look, the bar isn't going down.
The purpose of this video will just show how ridiculous one can be at level 10. Phase time power. With slowing time infinitely, you are basically immortal as can dodge any hits and heal back any time. The heal on
Yeah, it's
yourself
infinite.
goes in fast pace. Your bullets and attacks are slowed a bit, but not.
Oh, he's going up. Okay, there's a bug right there.
My screen farming strat for Unity.
But I never even really felt challenged all that much in my first run through, much less my 4th run through.
Step! Wait, did you just run up to him? You just
did-
bumped
it didn't
into
do
him
the
with a
animation.
knife. Touch this. Oh god.
Eventually, you'll get so many artifacts that you'll need to collect like 2 more. That has to do with one of the worst time dimension jumping sequences. It tries to mimic Titanfall, but unfortunately Bethesda just doesn't have the skill to execute that type of mission. My game bugged and had unkillable enemies here, which took me forever to get around. I swear something didn't spawn right.
Something is not right. What the fuck? Or what? Come? Are you serious? Where's the fucking door? Something did not spawn. Get fucking die up. All right, just kill me. Fuck it.
Later, you'll jump around bits of parts of the game that you've done before in a disjointed mess of a final mission that leads you to, seeing the choices you've made and potentially entering a new game plus with some of your new powers. But there's also like these short intro variations based on weird world versions if you're into that, if you repeat the whole game. But no, honestly, the best parts of the Starfield quests weren't even the side quests. It was actually just simply boarding other ships that were landing or that were in space and stealing them to get a fancier new ship. That was the most fun.
did it!
High five. That was a cool part of the game right there, stealing ships.
So I'm gonna
These
play.
poor guys. Wait, hey! Hey!
He left us. He left us.
The angry pirate empire begins now.
Only sometimes it would
like my
tell me I
little
can't steal that particular ship.
Super excited. I'm like,
Oh,
sweet, now
kill
I'm a
them
pirate.
all. I'm a real pirate.
Look at
now.
this ship. Better than the one I have now. Access denied.
Inaccessible.
Again, another restriction. Like, but I like the lockpick mini game to get the loot. It was really fun to engage with, and especially the complicated ones.
Tell me, Joe, and don't
that
fuck
one.
it up.
It's that one.
It's this one, okay? Now, you fucked it up.
You won that one.
You tricked me. Just exit
Damn
get out of
it.
here.
Damn it, Joe.
You made me
I'm
panic.
causing a disinfect.
I don't perform well under pressure, chat.
And I like the loot for the most part, especially the guns.
Jesus fucking Christ. He's got that gun. It's the fucking grenade launcher. Don't let him shoot again. Jesus. Fuck. Soup. 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 Whoa! 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 Hey, I fucked him. I fucked him up. Rocked his fucking world.
Thankfully, the combat and the gunplay is solid in Starfield, and really what was keeping me playing most of the time. The guns, they're numerous, they're varied, maybe if not all that inspired, they did the job, and I always wanted to carry more than I could.
Whoa, that's cool. You always get this one? So like I said, one of the best things in the game are the guns and the ships.
There's even a crafting system for various attachments you can engage with. If only the enemies were as fun to fight as the guns were to use. The AI in the game is dog shit.
Oh, he's a bad guy. I thought he was my ally since he's like, move, I gotta go this way. I was like, okay, you go this way, I go this way.
Why is he not shooting?
Yeah, guys, we rightfully gave Dying Light 2 shit for its fucking broken ass stupid AI boss battle. You don't think I'm gonna fucking give this game some fucking shit? What the fuck is this, man?
He's a man of honor. He's like, no, this is close combat. Let me go to distance. And we'll shoot again.
Okay, ready, go.
And most of the time the game was of no challenge at all.
Dramatic much? He wanted to go out with style.
Oh, I'm hurting.
Metapacks are insanely plentiful, and hell, even if you run out of them, all you really need to do is find a bed in mid-combat and go to sleep while you're under fire. The AI never does a thing about it. Back to full health and right back into the fight, easy peasy.
Fired back in a long time.
No. What happened? You think he's still there?
Let's go check it out.
Perfect, here he is. I'm gonna shoot him in his face.
No, you can't do that.
He killed all of our friends. All of them.
Look at him, though. He looks so peaceful.
But what about little Jimmy? He's dead. Let me shoot him in the face.
Alex, you need to learn how to forgive, man.
But he's healing up. He's just gonna get up and shoot us again.
But look at him.
Are we gonna heal up?
Aren't you curious? See what he's dreaming about?
What kind of pirate are you?
He's getting up. Aw.
I also liked the space combat. For the most part, it did its job. Yes, it's super basic and kind of not all that great, but you know, I do miss the days of those real combat simulators with joysticks. But I wasn't expecting that much here from Bethesda. It's simplistic, but allocating power amongst different systems and pinpointing targeting like in Fallout VAT system to disable enemy engines and weapon systems. It did enough that it was fine. What did impress me, though, was the shipbuilding. Goddamn, shipbuilding is awesome, and the community has come up with really crazy, amazing designs from Firefly. To Star Wars, Star Trek, even flying guns. It's a damn shame then that what the fuck they fucked this part up and they never bothered to think of a share ID system to allow players to share these awesome designs with each other, you know, especially those of us who are not very construction minded. Hell, even motherfucking Armored Core 6 has a share ID, but not a game that was intended where to craft your own ship and your own galaxy hopping thing, but why? Outpost construction is okay to help you collect resources for shipbuilding and trading, but it's not as good as the system in Fallout 4 years ago. And how the hell can this game have no guide or tutorial or walkthrough to outpost building and ship construction to get those more intimidated players into it? What? And while I like most of the guns and some of the loot, I gotta say, spacesuits are honestly kind of boring and disappointing. The variations, you're not gonna find many suits that are gonna impress. And no, before you tell me about the Mantis suit, we thought it was dumb. That's dumbass shit, don't you think? Look at that shit.
Yeah, I don't like the helmet. Or
the chest piece.
The only thing I really like is the backpack.
Or the sleeves, or the gloves. The backpack is
the best thing.
Fuck with me, I'll kill.
He's laughing at your suit. Get out of his face. You're making him laugh too much. He's like, what the fuck is that?
There's a handful that are alright, but the attire in the game lacks any sense of style or fashion. Why are there no pretty outfits for
There's
women?
no dresses in space.
Yes, I want dresses, damn it! Let's dance, Andrea. Good.
You're doing the
That's
walking
how you
man.
dance in Starfield, by
It's
the
the
way.
walking man. He's got some moves. I wish I could do that.
I want to look cool in Starfield, and in Starfield, looking cool is just not a thing. I guess
a limitation based on the world they decided to craft. This hard sci-fi expanse type of thing. There's no aliens other than those native creatures. It just really makes for a rather boring and samey feeling universe with not much enemy variety, no matter how much you explore, frankly. Finally, I should talk about characters. Your companions in the game, I found all of them to be rather boring and disappointing. Lackluster writing. I think I like Sam the best, and honestly, I had trouble picking a romance option. Joe, you were right.
That's Love Joe's life. Just shooting a corpse.
Leave him.
Die,
He's
you
dead.
little piece of shit.
Jesus Christ, Andrea.
He's trying to kill his spirit too.
Oh, she's gonna reload? And
he's not dead yet.
It's like they played a lot of Mass Effect and they wanted to do that, but they didn't come anywhere near it. And I mean, what about having the freedom to do what you want? Well, you can't really. The faction system will prevent you from doing that easily.
Now you have a bounty. That's dumb. He's the one who pulled the gun on me.
Are you serious? Then you don't play like that. You had to take on the whole fucking city? What the fuck? And even worse, many of your companions will straight up hate you if you try to play as a space pirate. Evil.
Not even close to you.
Why is Andrea and Sarah so fucking annoying? It's like, I want a divorce. They'll constantly complain at every little thing you do.
Not everything in the galaxy needs to come with us, you know.
Oh my god, Andrea, please. That's the point of the game. For fuck's sake. Rest of health.
About time you woke.
Oh my god, woman. Even things that shouldn't get you blasted, you get blasted for doing.
Hey friend, thank you so much for saving our planet. Is there anything we could ever do to repay you for getting shot, getting your companion shot, your spaceship shot, having to kill dozens and dozens of pirates? Anything at all?
Well, I guess covering my medic hits and gas expenses would be nice.
You got it. Let's see what we got here. Here's $7. Thanks again, friend.
Oh my god. You disgusting pig. How dare you ask anything from those people?
But honey, Andrea, I got so hurt. I got hospital bills. They shut the engine on the ship. That's like $10,000 to repair. He gave me $7.
Despicable.
But
you know what? I feel like I don't even know you anymore.
But it was a good deed, and
don't contact me.
And he wanted to give it. He wanted to give me the money, baby. Andrea, listen. All of the dialogue it's just disappointing, goody two shoes, you know. And there's no your companions are constantly bitching the entire journey.
Credits, spare credits, anyone?
Oh yes, sir. How about 7 credits?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, let that help you out there. Okay, let's go.
You gave him 7 credits?
Yeah.
You fucking disgusting pig.
What? But I thought that's what you wanted. I gave him 7 credits. I'm being generous. I don't understand. What? I don't get it. What did I do wrong? There's not really any cool ones that are down for anything like that ride or die bitch, you know? And that's a fucking shame. Most of the characters are forgettable, boring, and it's saying something when one of the best characters in the game is a joke character.
Is it really you? I can't believe I get to stand near you, breathing the same air. I've got to have every molecule. Yes! Oh, great and mighty Grand Champion? Is there something you need? Can I carry your weapon? Shine your boots? Back rub, perhaps?
The adoring fan, right? Or the robot who could say your name and call you fuckface.
Captain Fucker, it is pleasant to see you.
Yeah, at least they won't judge your ass every 5 minutes. And worse, the romance options, they're extremely disappointing. It's like, why even bother including them if it's so lackluster? There's no cut scenes. It's like a real marriage with none of the perks. It's constant nagging from Planet Nagon.
Oh my god. You left the toilet seat up? You're literally the worst person that has ever lived. I want you to know that if you were on fire, I wouldn't even piss on you. God damn it!
Can't do nothing. I hate this game. All of these areas, the exploring, the morality system, the companions, you'd expect more innovation here, and there is none. It all feels incredibly restrictive in the end, and clearly they wanted you to play a certain way. Look, I'm sure I'm forgetting more aspects of the game, but honestly, I'm tired. I'm disappointed. Look, Starfield is not a bad game. I've been complaining the whole time, but I'm telling you about the individual aspects. It has so many of those flawed elements and not enough improvements and innovations to the formula. It's far too filled with loading screens, restrictions, immersion-breaking elements. I play these games for story, characters, loot, and exploration. And I feel in nearly all of these areas, Starfield does a mixed to poor job at them. It has some standout systems, right? Like shipbuilding and the idea of Fallout in space. It's a cool one, but it's just not as well executed as I could have hoped here. The final verdict for Starfield is a 6 out of 10. It is slightly above average, and that's because of the sum of all the parts, right? There are good aspects to the game, but they are just too few and far between. It is, frankly, a disappointment. It's not a colossal disaster like 76, granted, I'll grant you that. But it is a small disappointment for what they should be capable of by now. Maybe we need fewer planets with bigger, more interesting, no loading screen areas. That could have fixed some of these issues. Because frankly, this idea that you could be playing this game for a long, long time to come that Todd Howard says, it's bullshit. Unless you like doing the same procedurally generated uninteresting outposts over and over. There's just not enough enemy variety. It's not up to the task here for that. Instead, we got Fallout 3 in space with a space theme poorly painted over it. Man, I really hope they do something far better for Elder Scrolls 6. Because frankly, this just isn't going to cut it anymore. This is the last time they can put out some bullshit like this, right? It's alright. Hopefully, the formula is much improved by that game. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. I'll sip it real good, too. What in? Drink sipping Joe. Get it right.
Hi guys, I'm Don Gaming, and today I want to talk about one of the hottest strategy PC games you can play today.
Up 70%, nearly all the gas that Russia was selling was going to Europe. And now it's managed to successfully reorientate, all of that energy trade to Asia. And so India and China in particular have stepped in, and they're buying all the crude oil that Russia used to export to Europe, now goes to those two countries, which are refining it and then selling it into the international market. But then the trade with Russia and China specifically, the general trade turnover, is up, I think, to about just under $150 billion, just short of the $200 billion trade turnover they had as a goal. And this is almost double what it was a few years ago. So the trade with Russia going east is flourishing, and China is the key market there. It buys a lot of the imports and also provides Russia with a lot of the inputs it needs in terms of manufactured goods, etc. And that's going to continue. And now Putin's focus, and this is why he's going to this meeting, because everybody in the global south is going to be at this meeting. 150 relationships between China as part of this deal. 130 people have turned up. And the Europeans, I think only Italy is a member of the BRI. And Orban, the Hungarian president, will be probably the only European there. So this is very much a sort of global south compact that we're getting together to talk about economic ties, logistics, trade, all the practical things that countries are interested in developing their economies.
Right. Now, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, as I mentioned earlier, is in China as well. And as per North Korean state media, Sergei Lavrov will visit North Korea right after this, after we saw North Korea present with the What do you think is going on that front?
Well, again, they're building a coalition, aren't they, of non-aligned, non-G7, non-Western countries, and North Korea has been a pariah for the rest of the world for the longest time. Nevertheless, it's maintained good relationships with Russia. That North Korea has a massive stockpile of ammunition, which of course is in need by Russia at the moment to replenish its own supplies because it's burning through so much ammunition. Right. And the same with North Koreans. I mean, they're interested in food supplies and technology. And it's part of this multipolar world that Russia doesn't operate on the basis of values. And so human rights abuses, political oppression, the lack of democracy are not really factors for Russia. It's a sort of quid pro quo transactional relationship that Kim Jong-un was in Moscow recently, and they were doing deals, actually Vladivostok, and they were doing deals where Russia supplies grains and technology, and North Korea is supplying arms to Russia. So it's part of that, and just bringing all these people together, these non-aligned countries, into this sort of transactional, cooperative coalition that, again, provides new markets, provides more allies, provides more headaches for the West. And I think that's part of the goal here, is that Putin's trying to bring all the other countries in the world under his banner, and doesn't care too much about what their records are like or what their, how democratic